Today, we're talking about something that often gets overlooked when it comes to your website, and that's the words on the actual pages. Yes, design is important. Obviously, I'm biased as a website designer. It's really what catches someone's eye, but your copy is what gets them to connect with you, to stay with you, and to book with you. And that's why I wanted to bring on someone very special, Andrea Danelak. She is our in-house copywriter here at Pet Marketing Unleashed. And she is our company wordsmith. She works behind the scenes on client projects, as well as through Copy VIP days, helping pet business owners write copy that feels true to their brand and converts their visitors into paying clients. She's here to talk with me about what makes words work on a website, the biggest mistakes that she sees people make, and some quick wins that you can actually take and put into action right away. Plus, of course, we're going to chat about all things AI and how that's changing the copywriting space here in 2026. So whether you are DIYing your copy or you're wondering if it's time to bring in a pro, or you're like, what even is copywriting and why is it important? Why should I even care about it? This conversation is going to help you see your website in a whole new way for what the words are on your website and how important and crucial it is into the actual effectiveness and the ability for your site to convert visitors into paying clients. This is so important, and I'm so excited to talk about it. I am also a word nerd just like Andrea, so I'm really excited to dig into the importance of copywriting, especially for those who are not as familiar with what copy is, what it's all about, and how crucial it is to the effectiveness of your website, to showing up on Google and getting those clients. So let's start. Welcome, Petpreneur, to the Pet Marketing Unleashed podcast. I'm your host, Michaela Vargas, founder, designer, and educator behind Pet Marketing Unleashed. This podcast is all about growing your pet business without the stress. Here, you'll find episodes packed with actionable tips and advice for streamlining your online presence, avoiding burnout, and onboarding new clients while you're away from your desk or out with the dogs. So pop in those earbuds and learn stress-free marketing and website strategies with me while you head out on your next dog walk, pet sitting visit, drive to your next session, or just wherever your pet business takes you next. Let's dive in. Alrighty. Hi, Andrea. Thank you so much for joining the podcast. I would love to start off, as most podcast interviews do, by you telling us a little bit about yourself, how you got into copywriting, and ultimately what led you to working with PMU, which we said that I think 2 to 3 years at least or something like that.
So I've been working as a writer for almost 20 years now, which kind of ages me, but that's okay. I always wanted to be a writer growing up. And so I figured that journalism was probably the logical career path for me to be able to do that. So all of my education is in journalism and communications. And I quickly realized that I never wanted to be reporting on like hard news, like crimes and murders. Aren't my jam. I guess they're not anyone's, but I always gravitated towards the fluffier content. And I was also very interested in the marketing bit of my industry. So I think that's why I naturally moved into copywriting over the years. And like you said, I've been working with your team for a couple of years now, offering copywriting services, and it's been fantastic. Like, I love animals, so this has been such a natural fit, and I can have so much fun with so many of the brands just in terms of like using puns and plays on words, that kind of thing. It's just a really fun space to be able to write in.
Yeah, for sure. It is a lot of fun. Okay, so in this episode, we are going to be talking about copywriting. So let's backtrack a little bit. And for those who might not even know what copywriting is, how would you explain it? And just why is it like so crucial? Why is it important?
So I think of copywriting as sort of the art of writing words that inspire people to take action or do something. So like on a website, that could mean getting somebody to book a service, buy a product, sign up for a newsletter, or even just like stay on the site if that's what you want them to do. There's a couple other reasons why it's really important. So you'll hear me probably say this a lot in the conversation, that like building trust with your audience is so important, as you know. So good copywriting helps build that trust and makes your business feel like credible and professional. It also helps shape your brand voice. So it really, I would say, sets the tone for what you stand for, what it's like to work with you, how you're different from your competitors, all of that good stuff. And it helps with overall clarity. So it will answer people's questions before they even ask them. All of that kind of makes it like integral to any website.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like when people think of websites, design usually gets the spotlight. And as a designer, I'm here to say, like, and I think you would agree with me that the copy is just as important as the design, if not maybe even more. I mean, obviously, if it looks aesthetically appealing and it has a user flow, that's really important as well. But like the copy is literally just as important. And do you have any insights on like why the heck did like design take over? I mean, it's almost like people don't realize that there's a separate service a lot of times in our industry of the copywriting and how important those high quality words are to your website.
Oh, totally. People usually decide within a couple of seconds of landing on a website if they're going to leave or stay and poke around a little bit. So I think design kind of naturally grabs their attention because it's the first thing that they tangibly see. But once that initial first impression is made, it's kind of the copy that does the heavy lifting because it tells people that they're in the right place and who you are, and also, most importantly, guides them toward taking the action that you want them to take. And it works in tandem, obviously, with design to do that. But I think design kind of took the spotlight because visuals are so immediate and easy to appreciate. But copy works a little bit more behind the scenes to get people moving through the funnel a little bit more to ultimately buy your product or book your service.
Yeah, I feel like the design is the fun piece of it that people wanted. And it's something actually I talked about at the Dog Code Summit. What is a brand? And we actually talked about like the visual aspect is just one piece of that. And I feel like people like to go straight into the visuals, but like the strategy overall behind it and the values and all of that is so important. And a lot of that is the verbiage and the language and all of that stuff that they're consuming. And it's funny because when you think about a website, like, yeah, the design aspect of it can create the vibe, but like, what are they doing on the website? They're reading the words, right? Like,
Exactly.
it really does work together. So when it comes to copywriting on websites, particularly in the pet industry, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see when you come across websites that they're making when they're writing their own copy?
So one of the biggest things I see is people writing for everyone. Like, and your audience is never everyone. That's why it's so important for you to know your audience really well. And you'll probably hear this come up again multiple times throughout our conversation because it is so important. And on that same note, people also sometimes write for themselves versus their ideal client. So you want to talk to the reader of your website, not what you think is cool or special. So like, how can you help solve their issues? You need to shift the focus from what you offer to how the folks are going to benefit from your services or product. So that's a mistake that I see quite often. And also, might seem obvious, but a lot of people don't include like clear calls to action. So like what you want people to do, like book a service or explore your services or, sign up for a newsletter. People, as much as I would love people to read every word, they don't. So you need to clearly outline what you want people to do so that they can, again, take that next action that you want them to take.
Yeah, such great advice. And it's so true. I think a lot of times when we even ask our potential clients or current clients, what makes you different? What makes your business unique? A lot of times it's just like, oh, we're professional, we're certified, we do this, this, and this. We include this, this, and this. But it's like, who are you helping and what transformation are you providing for people? And that's what really gets people to say, like, yeah, I want to work with this person, right? Like if you are a dog trainer and you work with separation anxieties, but in particular, like you need to be appealing to the people who are struggling at home with the separation anxiety, because if they see that on your website, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, she gets it. Like I'm working with her 100%. I don't care about her prices. I don't care about like, all the things I'll have to do. Like I want the solution. I want to be on the other side of that transformation of what she's providing. It's so important.
Yeah, exactly. Like having that's why it's just so important. Even goes beyond just like copywriting and design, but just like knowing your brand inside and out. Cause like you want that, you want people to feel that uniqueness about you. Like you said, you want people to be like, yes, I want to work with her or him.
For somebody who is just starting to look at their copy for the first time, they're like, all right, this is an important thing I should be looking at on my website. What's the first thing that they should evaluate or focus on?
So I'm going to go put my marketing hat on again, because this kind of is, I guess, a broader conversation, but you need to figure out like what kind of language is going to resonate with your ideal client. Because you can write the best copy in the world, but if it's not speaking to your target audience, it's, well, A, it's not the best copy in the world, but B, it's not going to accomplish what you want. So you can figure out language that's going to resonate with your ideal client in a couple of different ways. So one is by even going through marketing exercises, like creating buyer personas. So that will help you come up with sort of like a tangible representation of your ideal client, and like everything that you're writing, you're going to be speaking to that representation. So that can be a very helpful exercise. There are other ones too. Also, just like pay attention to the language that your ideal client would use so that you can mirror that style too. You can even review competitor messaging. Like, obviously don't copy that, but you can take a look at what others are doing in the space, just to give you ideas. And from there, you can develop the key messages that you want your site to get across. So I always advise people, like, before they start the actual writing process, just to think a little bit about like what's going to really land with your target audience. And with any copywriting, you want to create an emotional connection with your words of some kind. And the only way you're really going to be able to do that is if you know who your audience is and like what makes them tick.
Yeah. And it's funny because I go back to also as a designer, it's like, how does all of this work together and how is it consistent? And I think it reminded me also of if you have amazing website copywriting, but you speak to your clients completely different. If you sound more robotic on the phone or through email and it's very serious, but your website copy is very fun and playful, like all of that needs to be very consistent. So, I mean, even going back, like I think a lot of our listeners already have a pet business. I don't think we have too many listeners that don't have a business yet. So if you have the opportunity to go look at past emails with your favorite clients or seeing what kind of language that they use and seeing how can you bring that into your website copy so that it reflects the same sort of values and missions and all of that fun stuff. I think that'd be helpful.
Absolutely. And I think that going back to what we were talking about earlier with like how design and copy can kind of work together, I think that all plays into that consistency that you were talking about. Like, you want that consistent experience for your clients, whether it's visuals or words, and you want your brand to be instantly recognizable as you. So having that strong copywriting and that strong design can really, like, having everything align is really going to help you build that trust and that credibility that you need as a business.
Yeah, especially in the pet industry. I feel like it's so built on trust. It's so crucial. And that's something I repeat all the time because I'm like, trust is everything, especially in the pet industry. And so bringing that into your business through things that help build trust, one of which is consistency in your words and your messaging and all of that.
Absolutely. Like, a lot of pet businesses are, you're going into people's homes, you're taking care of their beloved furry family members or scaled or feathered, whatever kind of pet you have. So trust needs to be a huge component in any of your writing. And again, just the credibility aspect too, making sure that you come across as professional and an authority in your given area of expertise.
Yeah, for sure. So are there any quick wins that you can give us that they can implement themselves like today to make their copy stronger on their websites?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the first things I would say, a quick win could be fix your calls to action. No boring like click here's, which even aside from being boring, those types of calls to action aren't even accessible because if somebody's using a screen reader, click here doesn't tell them anything. It doesn't tell them where they're going to be going. So I would say just do a quick review of all of your calls to action on your website. Like, are they clear? Are they concise? You can still have fun with the language, but make sure that it's very obvious what you want people to do next. So that's one. Another thing that people can do quickly is break up large chunks of text. And I know that's more about, I guess, the layout versus the actual words themselves, but it's important to remember that people read differently online than they do like reading a newspaper or a book. So people kind of tend to skim. You want to be able to break up that copy with like headings and small paragraphs. No one wants to just stare at a blank or at a big block of text on a screen. Another quick tip is just cut the fluff. Like, you don't need to, how many varies and reallys can you cut out of your language? I think that
That's a hard one.
It is a hard one, even for me. And I mean, for some brands it works, right? But I think for the most part, like clear, concise copy is the way to go. And you also want to use words and phrases that people would naturally use in conversation. Going back to the mistakes that I see sometimes on websites is people using very technical language or jargon or very formal, stilted language. And especially in the pet care space, which tends to be a little bit more on the fun side, depending on what type of business it is, you can go natural, like make sure that you're using words that, again, your target audience is using, and keep it clear, but keep it casual too.
Yeah, it's funny because I was just writing down notes as you were saying all that. And it's funny because there's so much to language and then like so much to look at, so many factors, I guess, right? Like you have SEO because we need to be very clear so that SEO knows what we're talking about. We need to like write the copy that makes sense, right? But then we also have to think about using the language that your clients use, right? Because I think a lot of times people want to use, and we get this with clients fairly often, where they want to name a service very creatively, which is in line with the brand, but like, does it make sense for SEO, or is it overly technical and now the client has no idea what the service even is because you're spouting off something that sounds really formal, I guess, but they don't even understand. You know, it sounds almost like unapproachable now because what does this even mean? And is this for me? You don't want to confuse them. How do you find a balance between all of that?
Well, that's one of the benefits I would say of hiring a professional writer is there's a lot of variables, right? Like it's I think a lot of people just think, oh, I'll just put some words on a page, but there's a lot of thought that goes into finding that balance of making it effective in terms of SEO and getting the information across, but still getting your brand voice across too. And I think that, again, I'm going to come back to like knowing your audience, like really knowing your brand inside and out, will definitely help streamline that process a little bit.
Yeah. Like what do they call your service?
Exactly.
I think is like asking your favorite client.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
what is this?
I think a lot of people, like clients, are sort of like a resource that isn't used as often as as they should be, because there's a lot of gold that comes conversations with them. I would recommend that people try and really make note of some of those conversations and just
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I think too, going back to the like SEO component as well, because I think sometimes we do want to get so creative with what we're doing that sometimes you're losing the meaning or intention behind it. You're actually starting to confuse people a little bit. Like I always give the example of, it's funny, actually, I should prepare this example in advance because I feel like I give all the time and I don't have a clear example, but the main menu of your website, instead of putting like blog, people want to put like Michaela's notes or like something creative that like, well, what's that? Like, you want to also be straightforward so that people are like, if I click on this button, it's going to lead me to the blog of this website. Like it's very clear. And I think a lot of times in the pet industry, we can get so punny that we lose understanding, and we definitely don't want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the ways that I get around that sometimes is I'll include the sort of the punny pieces more in like the copy on that. Like once you hit the blog page, then there could be some more of the punny copy in the paragraphs that follow, so that it still is clear where people are supposed to go, what they're supposed to do, but you can still have fun elsewhere on the site.
Yeah. And something that I've seen you do too in some of our client sites is if there's a creative way, like a title for a service, maybe there's a subheader right underneath that's very clear what it is. So you have, I'm so bad at coming up at the top of my head, but if there's something very punny at the top for like this, creative name, then underneath we have it saying 30-minute dog walk or something like that. That's very clear. And there's a way to also put priority on, even if that text is smaller, putting priority on it from an SEO perspective so that it's very clear whether, depending on if you're using a screen reader or if you're Google interpreting the website, like this is what this header is because this is the context of what's here. So I think there's a way to combine it, I feel like, very successfully while still having that personality.
Definitely.
Let's switch a little bit because we cannot have a conversation on copy in 2026 when this airs. We can't skip that conversation about AI and copy because it's absolutely everywhere. So let's address it. How do you see AI truly? Because I feel like a lot of times people are having like very basic conversations about AI. I'd love to get more specific and into the weeds here. So how do you see it impacting the writing industry and small businesses trying to handle their own website copy?
It's a great question, and I knew it was going to come up in some capacity because it's, especially for the writing industry, it's a hot topic, as you can imagine. I'll say right now that I do see there are impacts to the writing industry, but I'm not worried about the impacts yet. And there's a couple of reasons for that. So I'm going to flip it a little bit and start with some of the good things about AI and how it can help businesses with their web copy. And then some of the downsides that maybe keep me up at night a little bit more. So some of the good things, like AI can make professional grade copy more accessible to people. So like a small company that may not have the budget for a copywriter right now could brainstorm ideas or even refine messaging that's, in their brain. It can help with stuff like that. And it can also save time so that folks can focus on other parts of their business, because copywriting does take time. It's it's an investment of both time, money, resources, energy. And I think a lot of business owners probably feel a little bit stuck when they're just staring at a blank page, right? Like without having any kind of writing background. So AI can at least give them like a jumping off point that they can use to start fleshing out their web copy. Now I'm going to go the bad part of it. So it goes against like everything that I've said in terms of creating an emotional connection and trust with your audience. So one of the biggest things that I see with AI driven content is sometimes information is like blatantly incorrect. That's one of the benefits of having an actual human behind the words is there's somebody who's fact checking everything, whereas AI just pulls information from the internet, might not be correct. It's also like fairly robotic, I would say. Once you are familiar with AI generated writing, you can't unsee it because you'll start to notice different patterns. So if businesses rely too much on it, I feel like their copy sounds very cookie cutter because it again, AI is pulling what successful writers are doing on the internet and kind of regurgitating that out. So it just starts all sounding the same and having the same patterns in how sentences are structured and some of the same words. You'll often notice things like in today's ever evolving world, like that kind of thing is like that is almost a giveaway that AI is used. And so clients have come to me with copy that they've written with ChatGPT or another AI tool. And that's even happened with PMU where someone's just done like a placeholder with AI written copy. And it's like, it's not good. Like, I think the main thing is that like it can produce copy fast, but it lacks that brand voice, that an emotional connection, and just like all the nuances of really understanding the audience. And in my opinion, human insight still reigns supreme. Like there are good things about it. Like you can use it for brainstorming, structuring, that kind of thing. I use it for brainstorming sometimes when I'm really stuck, but you can't replace an actual human writer who is like completely just has completely dived into the copy for a specific project and understands all of those nuances and can create an actual human emotional connection.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the nuance piece of it too, because from an SEO perspective as well, ChatGPT is also becoming more powerful in the sense that you really have to know your ideal client, because if they're going through the copy on your website, if you're using AI, right? Okay, let me backtrack. If you're using AI or ChatGPT to be like, hey, who is the best pet sitter near me for my situation, right? That means ChatGPT likely already knows that you have 3 cats and 1 dog with separation anxiety who's small and you got from a rescue and blah, 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 right? If your website is like, we work with dogs and cats and we've worked with animals with separations, if you're able to kind of get more specific, your copy becomes even more important and to be refined down into that niche, that strategy, all of that stuff. And it's even more important to me, actually, in the age of AI, to be super dialed into your specific ideal clients. Like, do you find that that's also the case as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you took the words out of my mouth.
Well, perfect. No pun intended. The words out of your mouth. Quick pause here. If you are listening to this and realizing that your website words might not be doing their job, that's where our copy VIP days come in. Andrea takes the guesswork out of copywriting by spending a focused day creating strategic, personality-packed words for your website. You'll walk away with copy that not only sounds like you, but also guides clients to take action, whether that's booking a service, filling out your form, scheduling a meet and greet, or joining your waitlist. If you've been feeling stuck staring at a blank Google Doc, or perhaps your site just isn't converting the way that you like, Copy VIP Days are a very quick and powerful way to finally get copy, i.e. those words on your website that you feel confident about. You can learn more and apply at petmarketingunleashed.com/copywriting, or check out the show notes and we can get you taken care of. All right, back to the episode. Yeah, I mean, it's so important because people are starting to search through ChatGPT to find local businesses. So it's so important to have great copy on your website because they're starting to understand that nuance. You can't just regurgitate and just be like, we're great pet sitters. Like, it's not good enough. And one thing I did want to touch on too, which did not have this in my initial notes, is can we talk about the M dash? Because I feel like I know that you use them too. It's so funny that it became such a, this is AI. I've literally taken M dashes out of my own copy, even though I haven't written it through AI or ChatGPT or whatever. And I'm like, I can't put any M dashes in my copy anymore. Like, how are you?
I am legitimately so upset about this. Like, this is where, like, my Instagram name is Word Nerd because I, like, live and breathe words all day. And I have been using M dashes for, like, 20 years. So when this became a thing that became indicative of AI tools, I was, like, kind of heartbroken. Like, I still am. Like, and it's funny because it goes back to what I was saying about, like, it pulls what successful writers have been doing all these years, right? So we use M dashes because they're an effective piece of punctuation. I'm sorry, I'm so passionate about the M dash. But I've done the same thing. I've taken it out of my writing now because I don't want people to think that it's AI generated. I'll leave the occasional one. Like, it does still serve its purpose, but my little nerd heart is broken.
That's a sad one, I feel like, because I mean it is in good writing. And that's the other thing too, when you were talking about like the fact checking and all of that, not to sidetrack from the M dash because I'm really sad too, but I'm like, God, it's so sad. There's nothing we can do about it, I guess, at this point. But when it comes to like the fact checking and the accuracy of the information, I don't know if you've found this as well, but the more I'm using it, yes, it does start to learn my brand voice a little bit more. But I've also found myself, and I've heard this of others, that like they're increasingly getting frustrated because it's like, you're not understanding what I'm asking for, and this is just completely wrong. Shouldn't this be getting like better and not worse? Why is this not? And I know, I think it's not even updated to like the date that you're even right. Like, so it's like, okay, all of this is like information based on like, I don't know now, like 2024. It's not even accurate half the time.
It's so wild, honestly. Like, it's such a, I hate the term, ever evolving space because that's an AI term, but it's true. Like, it's honestly, it's hard to, even the way that AI has structured sentences and stuff is different than it was like a year ago. So I'm curious to see where it's going to go. At this point, like, I'm still, like I said, like, humans are still going to reign supreme, hopefully.
I know, right?
But I'm not too worried because there's just still that missing piece that is making it just not as good quality as working with an actual person on the other end of the computer.
Well, and there's been sites that have been de-indexed for being entirely written by AI as well. So, I mean, there's that.
There's also lots of like, I haven't done like too much into this, but there's even like legal issues have come up from like plagiarism because things are just getting pulled from certain sites, and some people just will pull it from ChatGPT and run with it as their own words, so there's all kinds of like interesting conversations about like legalities and ethics, and I'm like really looking forward to hearing more about that in the coming years. But hopefully the M dash becomes acceptable again because I'm very sad without it.
Yeah, it is really sad. And that's something too, like it is really a new tool still. And I think people using it to the degree that they're using it can be a little bit worrisome, especially from a perspective of Google's getting also really good at interpreting websites and knowing whether it's written by AI, and they don't want, I mean, they're not against, they have their own AI tools and all of that, but like they're not against you using it. It's just being able to use it properly and making sure that you're actually creating unique content, like in Google's guidelines. I forget the exact like breakdown of it, but I know it's like EEAT. And it's basically Google is wanting you to have, it needs to be trustworthy. It needs to be individual experience,
Right.
an expert. I forget all of them, but like essentially your content is so unique that it becomes the best solution to the problem. And that's what gets you ranked higher. And that means sharing your personal experience. Like it needs to be clearly written from a human perspective if you want it to be shown in Google. And I think that's what people are missing when they just go to AI and say, write my copy for a professional pet care company in this area.
Yeah, that's a great point too. That like even just the all the things I've talked about aside, like just having the Google side of things, taking that into consideration is something I don't think a lot of people are doing.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot to balance when it comes to words on your website.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So where do you think the balance lies then in terms of using AI tools, bringing in, I know you said to brainstorm, is that like the best use of AI when it comes to website copywriting, or like how do you see people using it effectively?
That would be my recommendation. I mean, I might be maybe just because of the nature of my work, like I might be a little bit biased against using it for more substantial tasks, but like for brainstorming, it can be great because sometimes even when if I've been writing, let's say for a client for many years, I'm just pulling let's say for a spa, eventually I'm gonna likely run out of like blog post ideas. Like if I've been working with them for years, so sometimes I'll put in something like, can you provide me with 10 blog post ideas for a spa for, the spring season? And the information that comes out of that, I'm not like, it is a good jumping off point. It might like sort of get something going in my brain that will allow me to actually like come up with, oh yeah, you know what, I could do an angle on this because this is important to our audience and this is important to our spa. So in that respect, like I feel like you can use it as a jumping off point with brainstorming. Another way I see a lot of people use it is like structuring things. I don't really necessarily think for web copy that would apply, but for other, if they're doing reports or something like that, AI can help sort of structure a document in an organized way. But I would say for the web copy specifically, like brainstorming is the best way, and then let an actual human, whether that's the client or a professional writer, like take the wheel after that.
Yeah. Okay. So when do you know, or when should you consider investing in professional copywriting rather than DIYing it? When are you at that tipping point, and how do you know which to do?
That's a good question. So I'd say like you can definitely do it yourself when you're just starting out and you just like need something on a page. It's not the best approach, but it'll do in a pinch. But you want a professional writer if there's in a couple different scenarios. So one is if your website isn't converting. So if people are visiting your website and not taking the action or actions that you want them to, maybe the copy is off. Like that is often a culprit in, sites not converting. There are many different, factors that could play into that, but that's one of the main ones. You've like outgrown that starter copy that you wrote when you started your business 5 years ago. Like if any messaging is outdated or unclear, like a professional copywriter could help spruce it up and make sure that it is an accurate and up-to-date reflection of you. One of the biggest benefits I would say is a lot of people just get too close to it. So when you know your business inside and out, it's kind of tough to see it from like the client's or customer's perspective. So investing in a professional copywriter like brings in that outside lens and like an objective sort of view of your business. And that can be hugely helpful for a lot of businesses. And also like if writing website copy eats up a lot of a business's time, like outsourcing is often cheaper in the long run than having to deal with like stress, your time, like lost productivity from like other tasks related to your business. Um, and also, I think just when people want to, I hate the term level up, but when they want to level up their brand a little bit, like professional copy can help you look more polished. And again, like help you build that trust with your client base. So those are kind of the main scenarios where I'd see like investing in professional writing. But that's not to say that people can't do it themselves, but hopefully the tips that we've provided today can sort of help them refine their copy a little bit if they are doing it themselves.
And something I wanted to mention too, this isn't a service that we, at least right now, currently promote too heavily, but there is also the option of getting a brand messaging guide versus doing like website copy, because full website copy would be more of an investment than a brand messaging guide. And at least with the brand messaging guide too, you get the foundations of what sort of language to be using that can really help you if you are going to be DIYing it, not just on your website, but also social media so that everything is consistent. So that could be another option to explore. So if you are interested in that, that's something that you can reach out to us about. If we get a lot of interest, maybe we put that on the website, because I know we've talked about doing that, but I think that could be a good like middle ground for somebody who's like, I don't know where to start at all. I don't have the budget for full website copy, but I do need some help.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I think that's, like you said, it's a good middle ground between doing it yourself and hiring us to do, or any copywriter to do the full copy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. So before we wrap up this episode, do you have any other advice for people when it comes to their website copy?
I would say, so if your copy isn't converting the way that you want it to, it's like so not a reflection of your business. Like it usually just means that your message isn't connecting with the right people, like in the right way. So copy is one of the easiest things that you can adjust and improve over time. And I do recommend like revisiting it from time to time too. Like it shouldn't just be I wrote my copy once 6 years ago and haven't touched it since. So just take the time to, whether you're doing it yourself or hiring out, like take the time to do it right. Don't, if your copy isn't converting right away, but just consider it a strong investment for your overall business, and one that can really help guide people to take the actions that you want them to take.
There's so much strategy that is involved in copywriting. It's so important. Like I said in the beginning of this episode, it's just as important, I feel like, as the actual design of the website, because it's it's the information that they actually gather from your website. Like it's so important. So I'm so excited that we had this conversation, because I think it's something that's not talked about enough. Or I don't know if people think that it's just part of the website. But I mean, as a separate service, it's just truly, I believe, critical and just as important. And there's so much that goes into it. So I appreciate your expertise on sharing all things copywriting, and I hope this was helpful for our listeners. But before we officially close out, we end every single guest interview with a question on the topic of burnout and stress. So I would love to know a mindful practice that you do to help reduce stress and burnout in your business.
I think when I kind of made my own morning routine was like a game changer. When I started working on my own and like with PMU, I tend to just would, wake up and just start work right away. And then now I will make even just 10 minutes to just sit with a book and coffee or whatever, coffee, tea, just to set the tone for the day and like start the day on a high note. So
that's really smart.
Yeah, that would be probably my favorite.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. I used to do a morning routine. I don't even know. Maybe this was like 6 or 7 years ago. I feel like I haven't done it in so long, but there was such an immediate difference in my day when I did do it. I need to get back into doing that. And I forget the name of the book. It was like Miracle Morning. It's like basically like a 5-minute. It's like even just 5 minutes.
Oh, cool.
To set your day, and it goes through different categories of do this for a minute. At the very minimum, like having some sort of like breathing, and then have some sort of like journal or whatever it was. I'm not explaining it very good, but if anyone is interested in that, I believe it's called Miracle Morning. I can link it in the show notes, but it was so good. And I feel like it really does make such a big difference to set the tone for the day, especially if you're getting into a work heavy day or doing copywriting, because that takes a lot of brain power.
It really does. I'm usually exhausted by the end of a heavy writing day.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, so much brain power. Well, thank you so much, Andrea. This was so helpful. I'm so happy that we got to talk website copy.
Thank you so much for having me and letting me share my love of the M dash.
The words on your website are just as important as the design. They truly work hand in hand to create an experience that either draws in your dream clients or sends them clicking away, whether you even know it or not. Andrea gave us such great takeaways today, a better understanding of what copywriting really is, why it matters, mistakes to avoid, and some quick ways to start improving your copy today. If you're ready to take things further, don't forget to check out our Copy VIP Days with Andrea. The link is awaiting for you in the show notes below this video, below this podcast episode. Your copy does not have to feel overwhelming. With the right words in the right places, your website can really start to work and speak for you. Whether you want to invest in full website copy or you want the brand messaging guide that we talked about in the episode, definitely reach out to us at hello@petmarketingunleashed.com or learn more about our copy days at petmarketingunleashed.com/copywriting, and we'll be sure to help you. Because I really wanted to stress the importance of copywriting because, again, it's not something that's really usually talked about, and it's so crucial, if not more important almost than the design of the actual website. So I really hope that this conversation was really insightful for you to at least take that time, whether you work with us, whether you work with another copywriter, whether you brainstorm on ChatGPT and write it yourself, or just decide to write it yourself. I really hope that you realize the importance of strategic copywriting for your website in order to get more clicks, more leads, more conversions, more clients, whatever it is. Thank you so much for listening all the way to the end, and I'll see you on the next episode.